Hi everyone, my name is Matthew Kaplan. I'm a high school senior from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm also the founder of the B1 Project. When my younger brother Josh became the victim of cyberbullying at our middle school, I knew that I wanted somebody to do something about it. By the time I'd reached 8th grade, I realized that that somebody had to be me. So I took action, and I created the Be Open to New Experiences project. The B1 Project is a community building and anti-bullying program specifically for middle school students. I use games and activities to empower students to be positive role models and to celebrate their similarities rather than tear each other apart over differences. The B1 Project harnesses the power of peer pressure so that students create for themselves a school environment free of physical, verbal, and cyberbullying. This is the second video to help you create your own Global Youth Service Day project. These videos are created and led by youth that have either interned with Youth Service America or serve on its Global Youth Council. For more information about Youth Service America, visit their website at www.ysa.org. And for more information about GYSD, visit the website www.gysd.org. Today's topic is all about how to turn your idea for a service project and to implement it and turn it into action. Let's get started. Though my experience with service began back when I was an 8th grader, it actually wasn't until 2 years ago that I began to see myself as a young changemaker. 2 years ago, I had the honor of representing the state of Arizona as one of 50 National Child Awareness Month ambassadors. The NCAM program, as we like to call it, is an opportunity for students that have an idea to come to Washington, D.C., to learn from experts in the field of social advocacy, to gain skills that they will need to take their projects and to turn it into action. As an NCAM ambassador, one of my tasks was to create a project for Global Youth Service Day. Though I had planned events in the past, I wasn't really sure where to start. But during one of my workshops, I was actually introduced to an incredible resource that YSA has available to anyone on how to create meaningful service projects from beginning to end. And that's what we're going to share with you today. The Youth Changing the World, a Service Project Toolkit is an incredible resource. And one of the reasons why I like it so much is that it does a really good job of breaking up the task of creating a service project into manageable chunks. There are 5 main steps that anyone can follow to create a project that will really make a big impact in your community. So what we're going to do is we're going to break up each step, we're going to talk about it so that you too can create a service project. If you remember back, last month you learned how to identify a local, national, or global community need that you want to help address. In case you missed last month's webinar, begin by asking yourself some very simple questions to help you figure out what issue it is that you're passionate about. If you're trying to figure out what issue it is that you're passionate about, really think about a problem or a need that interests you, that concerns you, or that's made you feel empathetic. Really think about some time or experience that you've had that's really made you want to take action, because that's really what service is all about. Remember that when you identify a problem or a need in your community, you're also identifying an opportunity to make a difference. So today, we're going to learn how to make the most of that opportunity. In my mind, when creating a service project, the most important thing to do is to prepare and to plan. All successful service projects require a clear and laid out plan of all of the details of the project. Planning before Global Youth Service Day is absolutely critical. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through all of the steps that you'll need to have a complete and comprehensive plan so that you feel prepared and ready to go when it comes time for Global Youth Service Day. The first step in formulating a plan for your GYSD project is to identify goals. Figure out what it is that you're wanting to accomplish. Now to do that, there's an acronym that's really helpful to make sure that all of your goals are realistic and can be accomplished. Whenever I create goals for myself with the B1 project, I always make sure that my goals are SMART. And SMART is a really helpful acronym. The S stands for specific, making sure that I know exactly what it is that I'm wanting to achieve, what impact I'm wanting to make. The M stands for measurable, making sure that I can track the impact that I'm making, either by the numbers of hours that I'm doing service, the number of pounds of food that I'm collecting, or through testimonials or surveys. The A stands for attainable, making sure that I am actually able to accomplish what it is that I'm wanting to. The R stands for realistic, and this one's hard for me sometimes, but we have to take a step back and to think about whether or not we really are able to achieve the goal that we're wanting to. And sometimes we're not, and that's okay. But making sure that we have realistic goals is really important. And then the last is timely, for T. We only have so much time in the world and in our day, so we want to make sure that we're using that time to the fullest. So making sure that our goals can be accomplished within a reasonable time period. Whenever I plan projects, I always use SMART goals. In fact, just last week, I was trying to plan an anti-bullying program for a school in Surprise, Arizona, and I had to really go through the steps in my mind, thinking about whether or not my plan was SMART. Initially, I had wanted to work with the whole middle school, which would have been 400 kids. But as I went through the steps in my mind, I realized that that wasn't a SMART goal. It was specific. I knew what it was that I was wanting to achieve. I knew that it would be measurable. I could track my impact by the number of students I had reached, and I would print enough copies so that every kid could take a survey, but it wasn't attainable and it wasn't realistic because it wasn't timely. I only had 6 hours of the day, and there was just no way that I could do a program for 400 students in that 6-hour time block. So what I was able to do, because I made sure that my goal was SMART, was readjust. And I did half of the middle school one day and half of the middle school the other day. So that's just an example of ways to use SMART goals to make sure that your project is having the most impact possible. The second thing that you have to think about when creating a plan for a service project is the timeline. You have to think about what tasks you need to accomplish and how long each task will take you. Are you going to be the one that's going to do all of it, or are you going to have to delegate some tasks to others? Making sure that you're allotting time slots for each activity will really help to make sure that your service project goes smoothly. If you have questions or need some follow-up help on how to create a timeline, go ahead and reference page 8 of the toolkit. It has a sample timeline that you can fill out, and it also has further help as to how to create a meaningful and useful timeline. Another consideration that has to be a part of your preparation process is budget. Will you need money to execute your GYSD project? And if so, how will you go about getting it? Organizations like Youth Service America do have grants for individuals that have service project ideas, but it is possible that you will have to ask people for money. But remember that there are strategies for how to effectively ask people for money, and that's called a pitch. Now, I have to pitch a lot for the B1 project, and my pitch always includes 3 simple things, and they're what I call the 3 W's. The first W stands for who you are and what it is that you do. Make sure that you introduce yourself and communicate to someone what it is that you're doing. The second W stands for why is your issue important? A lot of times I have to explain to people or talk to people about why bullying matters in our community. So whatever issue it is that you're passionate about, think about why the issue matters. The third W is why we should care about it and why we should help you. Think about some sort of call to action, either something that you need, money, in-kind donations, whatever it is that you're wanting us to help you with. Make sure to communicate that. If you follow those 3 W's in your pitch, you definitely will have more success. Another thing that should definitely be a part of your plan is volunteers. As one person, we're only able to do so much. So it's really important to ask other people for help and to recruit others to help us in putting on our GYSD project. So one of the things that you have to think about is how is it that you're going to go about recruiting volunteers? Now, I have a few strategies that I like to use when I'm doing programs for the B1 project. One of the things that I found really helpful is a tool called Sign Up Genius. Now, this is a free online tool where you're able to create an online list of what it is that you're needing, whether that's supplies, volunteers. People are able to go online and sign up for either a time slot or to be there all day or to donate items. So I've found this to be a really effective tool to help me, keep track of who it is that I'm having helping and what it is that they're bringing. Another way to go about recruiting volunteers is to use social media. If you or someone that you know has access to a Facebook account, you can actually create a Facebook event for your project. Now you can use this Facebook event to ask for volunteers, to keep your volunteers up to date as to what's happening, or to invite the public to your event if they're allowed to come. So making sure that you're using all tools at your disposal is really important when trying to find volunteers. The more people you ask, the more likely it is that you'll have enough people to help you when it comes time to do your project. The B1 project in particular relies really heavily on volunteers. We do activities in both large group and in small groups. So we have one volunteer for every 5 students that we work with. Now, one of the ways that I also get volunteers is I just ask my friends. Now, I know that that sounds simple, but a lot of times if your friends are involved with student government or National Honor Society or other community service clubs, they have some sort of community service hour requirements. And so your project might be a great way to get people involved in service. Now, after your event, you have to make sure that you thank your volunteers. Either send them an email, a Facebook message, write them a thank you note, or give them a call. Let them know that their time and their energy and efforts were appreciated. More times than not, if a volunteer feels like they're valued, they're more likely to help out with you again if you need it. So now that you've gone ahead and thought about what it is that your goals are, how it is you're going to track your goals, how long your project is going to take, what funds, if any, you're going to need, and who it is that's going to help you, you're ready to go ahead and implement your project. This year, Global Youth Service Day is April 17th to April 19th. By the time this comes around, you've already spent a lot of time preparing and planning for your GYSD project. You're proud of what you've done. So the next thing to think about is outreach. How it is that you're going to let others know what it is that you're doing. Outreach is the perfect way to let other people know what it is that you're doing. You want as many people as possible to learn about you and your project, and there are ways that you can amplify your voice. The first is by using social media, tools like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of your social media platforms. The second is outreach to public officials. And the third is outreach to the media. Like we talked about earlier, make sure that you're using social media tools to let friends and family know what it is that you're doing and how they can help you. I always use social media with the B1 project, and I'll say it's definitely helped to make sure that other people know about the work that I do, and I've also been able to find partners because of my social media presence. Leveraging the power of media is absolutely critical. If you haven't already, go ahead and reach out to your local newspapers, your news stations, different magazines or journals, and tell them about the work that you're doing. Keep in mind that pitch that we talked about earlier because it's really important when you're trying to tell people of the press what it is that you're doing. If you can get members of the press to your project or have them write about the work that you're doing, it can really help to spread your message and the work that you're trying to do. Documenting your project is a great way to get volunteers involved. See if you have a friend or if you can find a volunteer who enjoys taking pictures and videos. Have them come for your event and to document all of the incredible work that you and your other volunteers are doing. Once you've taken pictures, go ahead and look at them and figure out how it is that you can use them to tell your story, to share your project results with others. Photos in particular, along with videos, are really powerful ways of letting other people know what it is that you've done in your community. But when documenting your project, remember to always be sensitive to your participants. Make sure to get their permission before you take a picture or include them in a video. When Global Youth Service Day comes to a close, make sure you leave time for reflection. Think about how your participation in the project impacted you and how you impacted your community. Page 18 of the Toolkit has some really great, fun, creative ways to reflect with your team throughout your project. Here at the B1 Project, we often do reflection activities both before and after, just to think about the ways that service connects to our community, to our future, and to ourselves. One of the things that we do is we'll have group conversations where we'll just talk about what happened during the program, how it made us feel, why it is that we do what we do, and what, if anything, we should do better next time. Making sure that we're taking time for reflection really helps us to make sure that next time we're also making as big a difference as possible. The very last steps are to demonstrate and, my favorite, celebrate. Demonstrate by showcasing your project results with others. But don't forget to celebrate. You've just used your passions to lead your community, and I guarantee you've made a difference. So go ahead and pat yourself on the back. You've done a great job. But before you call it wraps for the year, make sure that you take time to plan for how it is that you're going to sustain your project. Create a plan of sustainability. Think about what it is that you're going to do next year. Are you going to try and teach others how to do it? Are you going to try and grow your project? Make sure that you're really thinking those things through so that you're ready by the time next year comes around. Page 20 has a list of ways that you can go ahead and follow those steps for how to create a plan of sustainability. So that concludes our video for how to take your project and to turn it into action. Again, my name is Matthew. I'm the founder of the B1 Project, and I'm also one of this year's Youth Service America Global Youth Council members. Thanks again for watching, and have a great Global Youth Service Day.